running a little late. Oh, is that koach? Here, yeah, I printed this up.
Oh, thank you. I'll give this to Koach. This is
Hey koach, welcome.
my alley.
A little sushi.
It's up your alley. Here you go.
Little sushi next door if you want.
That'd be nice.
Okay, what are we going to sing to start with? I don't know if anybody's watching live yet, but whoever's watching with us, of course, my mother and Yael and Katie, everybody, Shalom Aleichem. And, okay, clock is working. We're starting. Thank you, Ari. So we're continuing in Likutey Moharan, Bezrat Hashem, lesson 72, Ayin Bet. Thank you. And he talks about somebody wanting to do tshuva. And that when the second that you have the thought of doing tshuva, the yetzer that you had for doing that particular tshuva disappears. And so then he asks the question, so if the yetzer disappears, how come there's still a yetzer? And he says there's a new yetzer that's made. And so we have to overcome the new yetzer. That's pretty much where we left off. 1 second, see if I can get this right. There we go. Hopefully. Okay, so now we're on. We're in the middle of section 2. Do you want to follow in here? You're welcome to follow in here. Okay. Even though in what I'm reading, there's a lot more information than here. Rak sheyesh b'chinat yetzer. Where is that? Afilu shenechshav rak b'chinat yetzer. Okay, here, and I'll need this for a few of the footnotes when I get to it. Yivaer ech yitechen shematzinu bekama mekomot chazal. So Rabbi Nachman before talked about the yetzer and how it's easy for a person to overcome the yetzer, especially the yetzer of doing sexual temptations, because if a person just thinks about the greatness of Hashem, then that in itself, that in itself would prevent a person from doing such a transgression. He says, so what do you do with somebody who's on a high spiritual level, and for that person, this isn't a temptation, even though there might be a tiny little thought in their head, they would never follow through on it because they're a refined person. So he says, how is it possible that we found in several places in our Sage of the Blessed Memory, meaning in the Mishnah and the Talmud, shetavat ni'uf hi nisayon gadol, that the temptation of adultery or illicit relations is a great temptation. Harei כשיודעים בגדולת השם, שום תאווה אינה נחשבת לניסיון. When a person knows the greatness of Hashem, then no temptation is so great in the eyes of Hashem, like compared to the greatness of Hashem. ויבאר איך ייתכן שצדיקים גדולים נפלו בחטאים אלה. He's going to clarify how is it possible that great tzadikim fell into this transgression. רק שיש בחינת יצר אחר. There's a different type of yetzer. So there's the yetzer of the normal person, and there's the yetzer of a tzadik, or a person that's on a very high spiritual level. שאינו akirut adamim hanal. That doesn't come from the muddiness or the thickness of the blood as mentioned above. So what he means by that is why do people transgress? Normal people transgress because they get confused. He calls that the muddiness or the thickness of the blood. But somebody who's on a high spiritual level, they don't have the temptation. Shehu malach hakodesh, so it is a holy angel. The yetzer of the person on a higher spiritual level is a holy angel. So I'm going to read the note here, note 21. I have it for you here, Ari, if you want to look. If not, don't worry about it. Be'er be'parparot lechokhma. It's explained in parparot lechokhma, which is a peush, an explanation of the Likutey Moharan. It's note 21. It'll be on the next page, on the back there. וזה לשונו, לקרב אל השכל קצת הוא, to bring this a little more down to earth, we're going to say, כי בשביל שיהיה לאדם בחירה, in order for a person to have free will, על ידי יצרתו ויצרה, through having a good inclination and an evil inclination, האציל השם יתברך בבחינת מידת הדין, ששיתף עמה מידת הרחמים. Hashem created this attribute of justice that comes along with the attribute of mercy. So we know that in the world there's the attribute of justice, there's mercy, and we can bring it down to just the simplest human way to somebody murders somebody else, God forbid, so they're brought to justice, they're brought to court, and the person pleads for mercy. It's an automatic light. Whenever your Arya moves, the light goes on. When a person pleads for mercy, and sometimes the courts will say, okay, we won't give you the death penalty, we'll give you life in prison. I don't know what's worse. And so that's judgment and compassion, but also we have it with each other. We can be judging of people, we can be kind to people, and aspect of good and evil. מה שיש גם בין המלאכים מימינים ומשמאלים. And this is what's drawn down on the angels that are on the right or on the left. כמו שכתוב, as it's written in ספר מלאכים, ראיתי את השם יושב על כיסאו וכל צבא השמיים עומד עליו מימינו ומשמאלו. I saw the chair that Hashem is sitting on, and the army of Hashem is standing there, and those are the angels on the right and on the left. So we know that there's the angels on the right and the angels on the left. עד שנשתשן גם בחינת השטן. This comes down until it draws down into the Satan, the evil energy, the negative energy in the world, כמו שכתוב, ויבוא בני האלוקים ויתייצב על השם ויבוא גם השטן. So the angels eventually developed into this energy that we call the Satan. Okay, so what he's trying to say here is that, and that there's more of an explanation here, but I think that's enough. That for the normal people, the yetzer is a temptation. It's really an evil inclination. But for somebody who's on a high spiritual level, and we're going to talk soon about David HaMelech as an example. So David HaMelech, who wrote Tehillim, who is probably one of the greatest kings, if not the greatest king that the Jewish people ever had. He fell into the sin of Bathsheba, which we're going to talk about. But that for him wasn't just a simple sexual desire. That was an energy from heaven that came and tested him in order that he should have free will. Because the purpose of all creation is for us to have free will. Hainu midata gevura shelamala. What is this malach hakodesh? What is this holy angel? that is the attribute of gvura, stringency or strictness or judgment that comes from above. And even though it comes from this place, it's still a yetzer. As it said in Baba Batra, Hu Satan. This is the Satan. V'hu yetzer, v'hu malach hamavet. And this is the evil inclination, and this is the angel of death. Harei hayetzer hu malach. So we're saying the yetzer is an angel. V'tzarich litkaber v'liyimalet ma'od mimenu. A person has to strengthen themselves and run away or find shelter from this Satan negative energy. V'lo ke'yetzer hamegusham. And it's not like a normal yetzer, like the one that we have, the normal people have. Haba me'akerut damim, that comes from having confusing thoughts, means muddiness of the blood, but it really means having confusing thoughts. Shekal ma'od lenatzcho. It's very easy to overcome that yetzer. V'lo tzarich itkabut klan kanal. And you don't need any effort to overcome that at all. So I'll give you an example. Here, I don't even know what this thing is for. Maybe it's to make the room smell nicer. Maybe we leave the room. But let's say I tell you, steal this. I want you to take this. When you leave here, you take some sushi. Take this too. Whatever it is, just take it. I think I'm not going to take that. Why not? It's right there. You can take the bike. Here's probably a 10,000 shekel bike behind you. Maybe it's even more. I have no idea. Maybe it's a 100,000 shekel bike. You can just ride it out. It even has a helmet. But for us, it's not a temptation. It's not even a temptation. Right? There's no thought of actually stealing something from this house. So that's what he means. That for that type of thing, there's no question. It's very easy to overcome. And even if you did have the thought, you could say to yourself, Hashem is running the world. I have no right to steal somebody else's property. Ki yetzer hazeh, because this evil inclination, hu b'chinat malach hakodesh. This is coming from a holy angel. Hai tekedi. Hainu b'chinot gvorot, that is connected to stringency or dinim, b'chinot dinim, judgment. Shu chazak ma'od, which is very strong. V'zeh habardat, and if a person is a bardat means somebody who's aware of Hashem's presence. Ve'ein mashpia alav yetzer hamegusham, and the physical yetzer that's in a normal person's body doesn't influence the person. Sheyesh lo kedei shegam lo tiyeh bchira. Why does somebody on a high spiritual level have a yetzer? The yetzer is not coming from the same place as a normal person. It's coming from a higher place. It's coming from a holy angel. And it's in order for them to have free choice. This type of yetzer is a malach hakodesh, is a holy angel. Hainu gvurot v'dinim. That is the attribute of stringency and justice that there is in the world of judgment. V'tzarich nitkaber alav ulamtik dinim. And a person has to overcome this angel and sweeten the judgments. She'ra kulo tov, that it should be only good. Ki be'emet atachlit shel ha'gvura hi letova, because the reason, the true purpose of strictness is for good. And we understand that. We've mentioned it many times. Any parent that doesn't discipline their child is a bad parent. Even though it's sometimes hard to discipline your children, even though you want to give them everything they ask for, you have to, like when your kid doesn't brush their teeth, especially when they're young, sometimes you have to sit on top of them and hold their mouth and stick the toothbrush in their mouth, even if they're spitting it in your face. This is personal experience here. Like that, with all the spit and toothpaste in your face, you still have to get on top of them and brush their teeth, because when they're sitting there at the dentist's office, and they're crying when the dentist is pulling teeth or filling teeth, which is also from personal experience, you say to yourself, wow, I was such a bad parent. I should have brushed my kids' teeth, and I didn't brush their teeth, and now they're sitting here in the dentist's office. So the gvura is ultimately for the good. Even the dentist is ultimately for the good, even though when we're experiencing it, it doesn't feel that way. Kadei sheyitgaber ala yetzer haba mimena v'kach ya'avod et Hashem. In order for a person to overcome this yetzer, And that's how they're going to serve Hashem. This is footnote 24, also again in Paparot L'Chokhmah. Ki be'emet gam midat hadin shel Hashem yitbarach hu rak bishvil tovat hadam. The attribute of justice that Hashem has, this is on page 232, note 24. The attribute of stringency that Hashem has is also for the good of a person. V'chein ishtanshalut ha'yetzera urak bishvil tovat adam. And also the bringing down of the yetzera is ultimately for the person's benefit. So you would think, you want me to show you who I am? Or you figured out? You would think that if Hashem is kind, why is Hashem being so hard on me? And this is one of the things I ask Hashem all the time. Why are you being so hard on me? And we know that Hashem is being hard on us because ultimately it's Hashem brushing our teeth. Even though we feel that it's Hashem not being nice to us, ultimately it is. And also the yetzera. You would think, Hashem, I just want to serve you in the most pure and honest and holy way. Why do I have to have all of these thoughts? Why do I have to be tempted in this and tempted in that? Why don't you just take it all away from me so I can serve you and be completely holy? Because that's not what Hashem wants. Hashem wants you to be tempted and to choose not to follow the temptation. That's why the yetzera and the attribute of justice, of judgment, are actually good things. K'mashal haben hamelech imazona v'chulei ha'mevoar b'zohar kadosh b'parashat Truma. This is a famous story, mashal, parable that's brought. It's brought in the Tanya, and he mentions in Likutey Moharan, of the king that hires a prostitute to tempt his son, the prince, to have relations with her. And the prostitute knows that she's hired to tempt the prince, and she's hoping that the prince will not fail the test. So even though her job is to tempt the prince, she wants him to succeed. So even though the temptations are coming, Hashem wants us to overcome the temptation. Ve'otam ha'zochim lichbosh et yitzram ula'avcho gam ken el ha'kedusha, and those that merit to conquer their yetzera and to turn it inside out and to serve holiness, b'pchinat la'ovdo b'chol levavchem. This is the aspect of, in Sefer Dvarim, to serve Hashem with both parts of your heart. B'shnei yitzrechem, k'moshe murazan, both sides of your heart, as the Sage Lebes, remember, he said, al yedei ze smola it kalel. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but you may not. That the right should overcome the left. V'naaseh yichud gadol lamala, and there's a great unification up above, the bringing together of Chesed and Din, as it said, ki Hashem hu Elokim, k'moshe is okay. So it says in the Zohar. Okay, where are we? Note 24. Ki mi shenechlal ba'avoda zo shel hagvurot shel yetzera b'makom shetzarich liikalen, because a person that brings in their service of Hashem the overcoming of the yetzera b'makom shetzarich liikalel, and the place where it needs to be brought in, hainu shebe'ein sof shu shorosh hakol, that is bringing the yetzera into the infinite, the ein sof, the infinite one, which is the root of everything, kisham kuloto, because there everything is good. So what he's saying is that if you can overcome the yetzera to the level where you can see where the yetzera is good for you, then you're reaching the place of ein sof, where when you reach a far enough place, high up, there is nothing but good. Because you get far enough away from this world that you don't see the pain in this world. Ve'en sham din chas v'shalom. There's no judgment there, God forbid. An ken tzarich liyot kulo tov, so it has to be completely good. Ulamtik kol ha'gvurot va'adanim, and to sweeten all of the stringencies and the judgments, Shema yetzera shelamala, that they are the yetzera from up above. Nimtza she'al yedei shemitkaber al yetzera. It follows that when a person overcomes their evil inclination, haba me'gvurot va'adanim, that comes about from stringency and judgments, be'itkabrut zo hu meverer shehem hayu etzlo letova. When a person overcomes these temptations, they elevate them and they prove that they were actually there for the person's benefit. So, for example, every time somebody falls into some difficult place, shalom to Yael, and they pull out of that, that's really what Hashem wanted. And that proves that the yetzer was there to be overcome. So, I don't know, everybody has it on a different level. Most mornings when I get up, I have a hard time getting myself started. I have no problem getting up, but I have a hard time getting myself started. But I have certain times in the morning. By this time I have to say Birkot HaShachar. This time I have to have my coffee ready. This time I have to be eating breakfast. You're kidding me. Was that really?
Check, it looks like it.
No way. Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Here, Arya is start but chill. Yeah, that's how we go to the bomb shelter. Start but
Okay,
chill.
but I'm going to wait for the second alert.
We have a lot to pick up.
No, I'm going to just leave it here. Okay, we're going to continue for now.
Thank you. Let's continue.
The historical moments on your YouTube.
Mamish, I can't even believe it.
That's no big deal.
I can't even believe it. Okay, well, the bomb shelter is right here. Well, my wife won't let me stay here. So if there's actually a siren, that'll probably be the end of the class. But we'll keep going. Keep going. Mamish, I can't believe it. It's just last Tuesday, we were in the bomb shelter. Okay, you weren't. You were watching fireworks. The rest of us. Okay, let's continue. So that proves that the yetzer is good. Shekabel schar al yadam, that a person will receive merit for overcoming the yetzer. Bekach hu mamtik otam ve'ovcham letova. And when a person overcomes the yetzer, that's when they sweeten it and they overcome it for the good. Ubekach havodah zo hu nechlal al yedei tkabrut zo. And this service, this work that we're doing in serving Hashem, is included in the overcoming of the yetzer. Be'or ha'ein sof shu shoresh hakol, and the infinite light, which is the root of everything. Asher sham ein shum din klan. There's no judgment at all. V'naaseh kulo tov, and it's entirely good there. V'lachen kedei la'agia lazet tzarich kodem lematek et kol hadinim. And in order to do this, you have to sweeten all the judgments. Meaning, in order to reach the place where everything is good and there is no judgment, you have to overcome the yetzer hara. Yivarer ketzad yitechen sheDavid. It's very funny that Nogo was actually here to tell me to come to the bomb shelter, because how many times was I laying in bed waiting for the second siren, which didn't come, because Jerusalem, Baruch Hashem, seems to be protected. I should bli ayin hara, salt and whatever.
Nachlaot has never had a problem even before the 6-Day War.
Until the 6-Day War. The 6-Day War, Nachlaot was bombed.
Oh, really?
Yes. Right next to our house is this little garden. It used to be the bakery. Why is it not a bakery anymore? Because it was bombed in the 6-Day War.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you know.
Someone said that nothing has ever happened in Nachlaot.
Yeah.
So.
That's because they didn't know anything about the history of Nachlaot. This neighborhood was bombed significantly by the Jordanians, but that was a long time ago. Okay, but anyway, we're waiting. Yivayer ketzad yitechen sheDavid pagam beBathsheba. We're going to learn a little bit about. Okay, there we are. Sorry, everyone.